Today's lesson is population structure. First of all, let's discuss what is population structure is. Is a number of males and females in different age groups. This is called your population structure. The most common method to show the structure is by a population pyramid. This diagram is made up by putting two bar graphs, one for male and one for female, side by side. From this, you can read off what percentage of a population is of a certain gender and age range. We discuss about variation in population. The structure of a population is the result of the process of fertility, mortality, and migration. The most studied aspect of population structures are age and sex group, means male and female. Other aspects of population structure that can also be studied, including race, language, religion, and social occupational groups. Then we discuss about population pyramid. In population, we are discussing about age and sex structure can be illustrated by the use of population pyramid. Pyramid can be used to show either absolute or relative data. Absolute data shows a figure in thousands or million, while relative data shows the numbers involved in percentages. Each bar represents a 5-year age group. The male population is represented to the left of the vertical axis and the female is on the right. Let's see a video on it.
See that there's loads of males and females in the age of 0 to 4, then what they might have to decide then is that they need to build more schools, because when that group gets to 5 years old, they might have enough schools, and they might need more health services if they find that they've got a lot of aging population. So the population is quite old. Well, then what they might realize that they might need is more hospitals, more medical care, and so on. So these population structures are shown on population pyramids and are really, really important for basically helping the government predict what services they need for the future. So population pyramids they can tell us 5 different things, okay? They can tell us the percentage of males and females, the first thing. So percentage of males and females. They can show us the different age groups, the percentage of different age groups. So for example, if somebody asks me, can you tell me what female is for the United States, we can see 0 to 4, and that's about 10%. If somebody else asks me, can you tell me from males from 85 to 89, I'll go across 85 to 89, bring it down, it's roughly about 1.5%, okay, and so on. Population pyramids also tell us the life expectancy. They tell us the dependency groups, and this is something that I talked about in population in part 1, my first video for population, and this is really, really important. This is a common question that comes up in a junior certificate examination, asking you to work out the dependency groups. And dependency groups is the number of people are active compared to the number of people are inactive and how they are supported. Now, to get the inactive is people that they're not working. It's the group from 0 to 15. So you'd have to add up all the people that are in percentage that are in group from 0 to 15 and that are 65 and over. And that will give you the dependency group. Okay, the 2 dependency groups, add that together, and that'll give you your percentage. And the last thing the population pyramids can tell us is they can show us the economic development. And how they show us the economic development is by showing how many births there are and how many deaths there are, and if there's a really, really high birth rate, well then we might say that it might be a developing country. If the life expectancy is not that high, that also shows us that it might be a developing country. If it's a really, really well-developed country, usually what you see is low birth rate and a low death rate. And I'll talk about more of this with some other population structures that I'll show you in a few minutes, population pyramids. Okay, so what you need to know for population structure is you need to know 2 case studies, one for a developing country and one for a developing country. So the case study we'll look at for the developing country is Brazil. Brazil is a developing country. And I'm going to show you their population pyramid now. So here's Brazil's population pyramid, okay? And there's a few things that we're going to look at here. The first thing is we can see that Brazil has a really, really wide base, okay? And a wide base means that they've got a high birth rate. And usually, what you find is in developing countries, you find that they have a really, really wide base because they have a high birth rate. This is due to a number of factors such as lack of family planning, traditional role of the women in the status of women. Children work from a very early age, so they have loads and loads of children, so then they can send them out really young to earn as much money as they possibly can for the family, and because of the higher rate of infant mortality. The next thing we look at is, after we look at the wide base, we always look at the base first, well I do anyway, because that shows the birth rates. Then I go and I look at the top of the pyramid. And at the top of the pyramid, you can see that's a very narrow peak. So Brazil is a very narrow peak. And this tells us that death rates are high. And this would be due to a number of factors such as poor living standards, lack of clean water in Brazil, poor medical services, and lack of good food and education within Brazil. So therefore that will lead to higher deaths, which will lead to a narrow peak at the top. And the last thing we can look at for Brazil's population pyramid is that we might notice that there's a reduction.
Thank you so much. We stopped our lesson here. We are going to continue this in the next class. Bye bye.